words on the board. I have variables, inverses, constants, and operations. These 4 words are going to help us understand how to solve two-step equations. So first, let's go to variables. Variables are usually lowercase letters that we use in math to represent unknowns. The cool thing about variables is they can change. It can be anything, any number you want them to be. So you can replace any one of these variables with a number of your choice. But in equations, when we solve equations, usually there's one specific number that variable can be. But it's an unknown, so we don't automatically know. We have to solve for the equation to find that out. Now, inverses. Let's look at operations. So operations are your typical subtraction, addition, division, multiplication. And the inverse is going to be the opposite. So I have multiplication, I follow the arrow. So the inverse of multiplication is going to be division, addition, subtraction, go to subtraction, addition. You go to the arrow, you follow the sign. And we have constants. Constants are numbers in equations that don't change. They are how they are. They're fixed. They can't change. They are what they are. And now I have a scenario. Let's say you want to buy a new console that costs $500. You have $80 saved up. You want to buy you have $80 saved up. You get an allowance of $60 per week. The question is, how many weeks would it take for you to be able to buy your new console? So, well, and the console which is $500. That's how much the console costs. So, let's first identify our constants and our variables. So you have $80 saved up. That $80 will not change. That's in addition to your equation. So you're gonna add that to your equation, but since it's not gonna change, you're gonna leave it how it is, like these. 80. Now, you can plus that. Now, anyone that buy a new console, you get paid an allowance of $60 a week. That changes every week. Changes. So if the first week you have 60, the second week you have 120. So every week you're getting $60. We're gonna represent that with a variable. So 60x. And our goal is to get to $500, so it's gonna equal 500. Now, all we have to do is solve this equation. X can be any number, but in order to figure out how many weeks it will take for you to be able to buy your console, you have to solve for X. What does solve for X mean? To get X alone. That's our final goal. That's our end result. Once we get to this, we know that we're done. So, once you have identified that you want to get rid of this, we have to look at what's next to X. I see 60, and I see there's a plus 80. We have to get rid of those two numbers to get X by itself. So, whenever you see, I would suggest working with a number that's like plus or minus dx first, because it makes things easier for you. So let's go to the plus first. When you identify the number you want to get rid of, ask yourself, what operation is that? Is it a positive or is it a negative? If you don't see a negative anywhere around it, it's going to be a positive. So once you identify it, you go to here, go to the positive, you follow the arrow back, and now you need to minus it. Inverse of addition is subtraction. So you need to minus 80. And here's something that's very important. Whenever you do on one side, we do the same exact thing on the other side. So you minus 80 on this side. Drag your line down to become your neat. This becomes 0 because 80 minus 80 is 0. That's with 60x. And 500, well, minus 80 is going to be 420. So this becomes 420. Now, the last step to solve for x, first you have to ask yourself, what operation is happening between the 60 and x? Whenever you see any number next to a variable, no matter what the number is, it's always multiplication. It's always being multiplied by itself. So, times, times. So you have to ask yourself, what number can you divide by to get this 60 equal to 1? Well, anything divided by itself is going to equal 1. So 60 divided by 60 equals 1. So you have 1, you bring the x down. And 1x is just equal to x. Remember, whenever you do one side, you have to do the same exact thing on the other side. We divide 60 on this side, we're dividing 60 on this side. So x equals 7. So what does this mean? This means that it will take us 7 weeks to be able to buy a new console with our $80 saved up plus our $60 a week. And we know that's true because if we take 7 and we plug it back into our equation, we're going to get 60, said times, everything represents times 7, that's gonna be 420 plus 80, which equals 500, which is our end result.